Hello gamers, I'm NKZL, and in this video I will be talking about Black Desert Online. I will try to touch on various changes this game went through over the years, and why you might be interested in playing it in 2023. I know very well 2023 looks amazing for MMORPGs, I even have a video on it. But those amazing upcoming games are not out yet. So in the meantime, you might be looking for something to play. And one of those games could be Black Desert. Before I get into it, I would like to remind you to drop a like and subscribe if you found this video interesting or want to support the channel. And even let me know in the comment section below what your opinion of BDO is. I would like to start with the fact that BDO is a grindy game, and I know most MMORPGs are grindy, but even so I would consider BDO one of the most grindy MMORPGs out there. Depending on what you are looking for from an MMORPG, this may or may not be a bad thing. It's up to each of us to decide what is right for us. However, unlike other MMORPGs, BDO is not a game revolving around endgame. This is a game that focuses on the journey towards endgame. Just because BDO is grindy does not mean that casual players cannot enjoy it. I would say it's quite the opposite. A lot of mechanics in game favor casual play, and you get the most out of your time with 1 to 2 hours of play a day. Before talking more about the game itself, I would like to touch on a subject that has made a lot of gamers not even try out BDO, and it's the reputation of being a pay-to-win game. Without a doubt, there is a pay-to-win element in BDO, and people with money to burn could progress faster than those without. But in its current iteration of the game, it's not as bad as you might think, and if you bear with me, I will explain. To better understand the subject, you have to understand that in BDO, silver is the main currency and it reigns supreme. You can buy anything progression-wise with silver and most cash shop items. To obtain silver as the pay-to-win player, you would have to buy costumes from the cash shop and sell them on the market, as there is no direct currency exchange. There is a limit to how many you can sell each week. On top of that, one costume that costs between $15 and $30 would sell for the equivalent of 1 hour worth of grinding, and this is at a level that is easily achieved in a couple of weeks of playing the game. As you might expect, as you progress through the game further, you will be able to make more and more silver each hour. Which brings us back to the main topic, that unless you have tens of thousands of dollars to burn, it's just better to play the game than pay to win. The second point is related to the way BDO used to be in the past. When it launched and a few years after, the devs were using what I call the bad kind of pay to win. And what I mean by this is that they created problems in game and then sold the solution in the cash shop, like weight problems, inventory problems, and so on. This is not the case anymore. What the game provides you as a free-to-play player will be more than enough to have an enjoyable experience and not feel like you are being forced to spend. In my opinion, this makes the game feel completely different than it used to. This brings us to the third point, and I mentioned it before, but I feel like I cannot stress this enough. Unlike many other MMORPGs where your fun begins at endgame, in BDO the whole game revolves around your journey towards endgame. Paying to skip parts of this journey is akin to paying to skip a boss in Elden Ring. I feel like I talked a lot about pay to win, so this is the last thing I want to mention. The game has optional subs, and they come with pretty decent benefits, and while you can purchase them from other players using the marketplace, there are a lot of players trying to do that, so you should expect to pay for around 25 to 50% of your game time. That being said, this will only be the case after the first 2-3 months of playing the game, as there are various ways to obtain the subs in-game, and often enough they give them for free, either through events or login rewards. This means that you have a decent amount of time to decide if this game is for you and if you want to spend your money on it. I know I talked a lot about the major things that might turn people away, but I feel like if you are not someone that is alright with those things, it doesn't matter how good the game is, so I wanted to get them out of the way and not waste your time with this video. Now, let's talk about the things that BDO does well, and therefore why you might want to actually play it. One of the first things you'll notice as you boot up the game is that it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's known as the best looking MMORPG out there, and there is no contesting that. At least until some upcoming MMORPGs come out. If you are looking for eye candy, you will be spoiled by BDO's absolutely beautiful looking world and characters. The character creator is the best in the industry, and I'm a bit sad to see that none of the popular MMORPGs decided to get inspired by it. This character creator, together with the amazing looking costumes available, will make it so you can customize your chosen character unlike in any other MMORPGs. Costumes can be either purchased from the cash shop or from the marketplace, with as little as 1 hour worth of farming. I have to mention that if you decide to purchase it from the marketplace, you might have to wait a few days until you get it, but that is acceptable for most people that I have talked with. Black Desert is a sandbox MMORPG, and true to this, it has an unreal amount of content available. You can choose to be an adventurer that progresses in the world of BDO by using their combat prowess, or you can choose to focus on professions which are known as life skills. The way you decide to play the game will be entirely up to you. But being thrown in a massive world with a ridiculous amount of stuff to do will be confusing for most people, and the developers realized that this will turn people away from the game. So the solution they came up with is seasons. This system will streamline your experience and direct you to explore various elements of the game. At the same time, it acts as a catch-up mechanic that will provide you with pretty decent rewards. The rewards from seasons are so good that even veterans will participate. Seasons last for around 3 months, and they take anywhere between 1 day and 2 weeks to complete, based on how much you play and of course the knowledge you have of the game. It's worth mentioning that even though there is a massive amount of content, the distribution of content might not be for everyone. What I mean by this is a lot of content can be completed solo. Around 80% of content is solo focused, 15% is group focused, and around 5% is PvP focused. That being said, there is a lot of variety in content. From a few dungeons to equalized arena PvP, there will be something for most people to enjoy. However, if you are a player that enjoys just one aspect of MMORPGs, for example, if you are entirely focused on raiding, this might not be the game for you. But if you are someone who enjoys a variety of content and prefers to have different things to do, then BDO could provide years worth of content for you. As you can expect, as time passes by and content gets added, catch-up mechanics get implemented, and so on, some old content will become redundant. And in other MMORPGs, old zones and content often feel dead and devoid of players. In BDOs, the devs have came up with a solution of revamping old content, so not only will it provide more options for people when it comes to what they choose to do, but it also makes all zones of the map feel alive. Alright, moving on, it's time to talk about progression, and one of the ways to achieve this will be gear. Most people that have heard of BDO probably heard of the RNG upgrade system. And as we very well know, most Western players hate this kind of system. If you are someone that hates this system, there is good news. In recent years, the devs have understood this fact and decided to provide various ways to upgrade your gear without ever having to deal with RNG. Since we're talking about gear, I need to talk about one of the most important aspects of the game, and that is that gear does not lose its value over time. For me, this is one of the main reasons why I keep returning to the game. Unlike theme park MMORPGs, where if you decide to take a break and then return to the game 6 months later just to realize that all the hours you have put into obtaining certain equipment has been completely devalued. In BDO, you can simply return and pick up where you left off. Immediately, this raises the question of how do the developers manage to keep the veterans of the game interested? Well, on top of new content, progression-wise, they manage to keep people interested by offering small incremental upgrades on the existing gear, or adding new gear that acts as options for people to specialize in certain builds. By doing this, they don't devalue the previously existing gear, but also give people extra stuff to work towards. The next aspect in which BDO provides an excellent experience is combat. Unlike your average MMORPG, in BDO you cast abilities by pressing different combinations of keys, with very few abilities being put on the action bar. This delivers an action combat unlike any other, with an extremely high skill ceiling, but also very rewarding. The type of combat varies between classes, and there are a total of 26 classes to choose from. One negative aspect about BDO class system is the gender lock. Personally, I dislike gender lock profoundly, but because of the high amount of options to choose from, I can overlook it in this case. I need to make a little side note here, and that is because of the fast pace of combat in BDO, a very good internet connection is required for a smooth PvP experience, and people with less than ideal internet connections report various distinct problems. That being said, this is not a problem at all in PvE content, which is most of the game. We're getting close to the end of the video, and before we wrap it up, I would like to touch on the lore and questing experience. I know most people are not interested and will skip as much as they can when it comes to the story, but for those interested, there is quite a decent story in my opinion. They created a world that exists independent of the player character, and while our character comes along and solves problems here and there, the world itself does not revolve around our character, which I personally find very refreshing. There are also some story choices that will result in you experiencing different storylines. While they might be inconsequential in the big events of the world, they do change some things when it comes to how your story is being told. The delivery, however, is less than ideal, but they have worked hard to improve this, and all the recently released stuff has voice acting and is delivered far better. On top of that, they are reworking old quest lines, and with time they aim to rework everything and bring it to the same level of quality as the recently released content. The last thing that I want to mention, but quite important, is the updates. The game gets updated every single week, and these updates range from just changing a few quality of life things, balance changing and adding new events, to major updates that add new classes, new zones, or massive updates to the game engine that make use of new technologies on the market. This is by far the most updated MMORPG on the market, adding one new massive zone and 3 new classes approximately every year, and countless other changes. To my knowledge, this is the only MMORPG that actually updates their engine to keep up with the times. To me, this shows a passion for their game that I don't see from other MMORPG developers, and I wish it became a standard in the industry. In conclusion, I believe BDO is an excellent game. I think it's not for everyone, and that is absolutely fine, because if this game clicks with you, I believe you will be able to have countless hours of fun. If you have played BDO in the past, it's worth checking out now, because it went through countless changes and might feel completely different than it did in the past. Let me know in the comments what you think of BDO and if you're going to give it a try. Thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. See you in the next one, gamers.